Hello folks, Mark Keyworth here with Flipside Traders, and today we want to talk about our Amazon put vertical and our management strategy that we just had last Friday. Now that put vertical was a 1945 put vertical to 1950. Here's our short strike. We went ahead and illustrated that for you. Now when we did that, there are a couple things that we were looking at in order to make this a viable trade. Number one, we chose the 1950 short strike because we had a couple of protective support pieces from price action, kind of barriers, if you will, to that 1950 strike. The first one's this yellow line, that's the daily 8 EMA. And the second one is right next to it is the previous day's low. So both of those normally act as very, very well-defined support lines, and especially in an uptrend, you would expect to see the price keep moving forward. Now when we put this trade on, one of the things that we took a look at that time, if you go look here at this Fibonacci retracement, I'll go ahead and we'll enlarge this for us a little bit to kind of see what's going on here. So you see that we came up to the 618 retracement, and we put the trade on, price was above it. But unfortunately, during the rest of the day, price started to retreat. So right away, that tells us that we have a potential bearish situation on kind of the longer term chart of what's happening with Amazon, because it basically price was rejected above 618, meaning that it's probably going to go down. So it's not something that you go ahead and totally abandon your premise, but given that we had the 8 EMA in the previous day low, but it's something that we definitely want to watch. And if we take a look at the broader market, Amazon makes up over 10% of the NASDAQ, and here's the NASDAQ cash session. And again, if we take our fibs, we come down here and we look at this fib, you can see that again we're right at that 618 retracement level, and so we're at a kind of a make or break point, and it's definitely showing a little bit of resistance. So as we traded Amazon during the day, things started moving fairly well, and we're holding. We're actually about 20 or 30 points above the short strike until we got into around 10 o'clock or so. And let me show that to you on the NDX ticker here. Look at the futures, 'cause that's a better predictor on the 610. And we had two big news events that happened. One is that Trump's campaign manager, Paul Manafort, was notified that he was going to plead guilty and accept the plea deal, and testify on behalf of the prosecutors, which provides some uncertainty to to the stability of our presidency and our overall government. And you can see that happened right here, right? We had this this big down push at this point. Normally what happens when you have that type of news is that the market kind of settles and then rotates back up. But on top of that, we had a second piece of news, and that was that Trump, even though the day before we invited China back for trade negotiations, he's still tweeting out that he wants to be head over heels and put another $200 billion of tariffs. And so those tariffs are basically tax on the products that we sell. And so, companies like Apple and Amazon, now that makes their products more expensive, therefore harder to sell, therefore potentially less revenue. And you can see that we didn't have that normal, I'll say, just kind of resting point and bounce back up as the market shrugged off the news, but we kept fading. So as the markets keep fading, that's something that we definitely needed to take a look at. So now let's take a look at it based on how the overall market would then affect Amazon. So if we come back over here and take a look at Amazon, and let's see, here we are. So what you can see here is a number of different things. This line right here was the previous day's low. This line right here was the 8 EMA, and then this blue line right here was the previous day's support. So you can see that upon that news, that Amazon broke all three of our protective barriers and is pushing down. and it's actually trending. You can see every time it comes back up to these type of support resistance lines. This red line here is the VWAP, which is the volume weighted average price, right? It's basically the price of fair value. And the 34 EMA, it kept pushing down, and it would come back up, and it would hit the 8 EMA and push back down. It would come back up and push back down. So here we are, we're at a point where, and it comes back up and it's pushing back down. So now we kind of have this relentless, push down, and our short strike's 1950 and we're at 1959. And so as it comes up again, and right here, when it hit the 34 EMA and then came back down and broke this band, is when I tweeted out to you guys or to go ahead and take profits, because it just was not worth the overall, looking at the overall trend, given that's a Friday, given we had 2 news announcements on a low volume day, that this very easily could have pushed all the way down another 10 points, and another 10 points in Amazon is nothing, right? You're trading at 1959, so you're talking less than 0.5%. And the goal is here is we took 50% of profit, so we booked $100, and basically we took $4,000 of risk off the table. Now, did the market eventually stabilize? It did, absolutely. That's what happens, right? It came all the way back up through here, right? From this point, but it just wasn't worth the risk, right? It's still under this whole VWAP of fair price. So we took a profit, we have money, you paid for your subscription in one day, and we went forward. And overall, it's a very, very profitable week. We've been on a great streak, but that's how and why we're managing these trades in order to keep us profitable and not put us into a big hole. And it's like, let's take the risk off, because we know that the next trade that we come in, we have a very high probability of success and max profit. Max profit is always nice. I love sending out those emails, but I like it even better when we can maintain the principal and the capital for you guys as well. All right. Have a great day. Catch you on the flip side. Thanks again. Bye.